Hi, this is Sean D'Souza, and you're listening to the 3-Month Vacation Podcast. This podcast isn't some magic trick about how to work less. Instead, it's about how to really enjoy the work that you do and to enjoy your vacation time. Hi, it's Sean, and you're listening to the 3-Month Vacation. I don't speak very often at events, but when I do, I usually tend to start off with a very strange kind of beginning. And that is, I talk about my philosophy, or the philosophy of psychotactics. And it's strange because someone might be there to listen to pricing or to how to grow your business or something like that. And there I am on the stage talking about philosophy. And the reason why I talk about philosophy is I think that it's the soul of your business. It is that thing that you can't define quite clearly, but it needs to be there. And today we'll try to define it. We'll try to define what governs psychotactics. And maybe you can take something from it and in the process create your own philosophy. This is a 2-part series, and we'll cover 3 points as always. So let's get going. The 3 points that we'll cover today are why reality checks kill your spirit, why they kill your momentum. The second is why online learning can reduce your implementation skills. And finally, why waiting doesn't help decision making as much as you think. Let's start out with the first one, which is why reality checks kill your spirit and they kill your momentum. I immigrated to New Zealand in the year 2000. But before I came here, did I do a background check of this place? Did I know whether I would love or detest this country? Would I find a job? There are so many questions that keep pummeling us, and often we try to do a reality check. We try to minimize our downsides. We try to research things to death. And you know what? Reality checks are often a waste of time. And that's because most of our life depends on pure chance and our ability to take that chance. Let's say you wanted to get a coffee today. Did you call in advance to check if the cafe had enough coffee? What about the milk? Did you check where the milk came from? Was it from a good source? Is it organic like you wanted? Is it soy milk? You didn't check, did you? It would be funny if we called ourselves bad and disorganized. Because we really should have checked. I mean, the coffee is so important to us. And that's how it is. Your business needs this level of crazy abandon as well. Because we had to do so many things when we started out. We did stuff that we didn't know what was to come of it. So if you ask me today, would you wake up at 3:30 a.m., drive to give a speech, and then just have 3 people show up in the event? Then I'd say no. If you asked me if I would have bought a laptop that didn't work as well as I thought it should have, then I would have said no. If you give me a chance to do a reality check, I'd go back. I'd erase all of those idiotic moves, and in the process, my life would be better, right? I'm not sure it would. And that's why I hurtle into attending a course without really knowing what the outcome might be. I don't know who I'll meet. I don't know whether it's a constructive use of my time. Or I'll start to learn a language like Portuguese without running into any Portuguese-speaking people in my life every day. The lack of reality checks are what made me jump into marketing, when I should have stayed a cartoonist. We've done workshops all over the world without really knowing whether people in those countries are even slightly interested in whatever we're doing. But surely reality checks matter. They do. If you have just $20 in your bank account, you should not be buying that new phone. If the person you're seeing is an axe murderer, you should really be briskly walking in the opposite direction. Reality checks matter for many things, and they're important for our lives to have a semblance of sanity and order. And that's where planning comes in. Planning is a sort of reality check. At Psychotactics, we plan like crazy. A plan for this, a plan for that. And Fridays, that's today when I'm recording this podcast, it's an entire morning of planning. But as someone once said, planning is priceless, but plans are useless. Once the plan has a few sparks under it, it's time to light that fire. And will the fire burn? We don't know, and we really can't care. We have to expect that it will and that things will go as planned. And if they don't go as planned, they go a different way, and then we go down that diversion, and there's not much point in wondering. And the answer lies not in research, but in preparedness. To finish this section, let me tell you a real story that happened to me when my friend wanted to immigrate to New Zealand. So this friend asked me to help him immigrate. Now, I'm not an immigration consultant, but he had been here to New Zealand. He was keen that I do some research, I set up things. He had the money, he wanted to set up a factory, he wanted to have a very smooth entry into New Zealand. Anything less than perfect wasn't to his liking. And my response to him was, imagine we set up everything just as you wanted, just as you needed. And then, the day you board the plane, there's an earthquake in New Zealand. What then? I'm not what you'd call a risk taker. I like to win more than I like to lose. I have plan B in mind, probably plan C. But I won't get plan B or plan C in the way of plan A. A reality check is a very interesting exercise, and yet I believe that it often kills the spirit. I like to live in fantasy land. It's worked just fine for us so far. And after this, we're headed to the cafe. And no, we haven't called in advance. We'll just take our chances. And that brings us to the end of the first part. Let's take a look at the second part, which is called Why Online Learning Can Reduce Your Implementation Skills. Turn on the light switch in your room. Did it turn on? Well, if it wasn't for Michael Faraday, we might still have been in darkness. And that's because way back in 1831, Faraday discovered electromagnetic induction. Right until that point, the whole idea of electricity was more of a curiosity. And one of the reasons why Faraday got to this particular moment in history is because he left home. But not just home, but an amazing job he had as a bookbinder. Today, we don't think twice about books, but back around the 1800s, books were expensive. They were very hard to find. And Faraday had this fabulous luck of getting a position as the apprentice of a bookbinder. And for the next 7 years, he read every book he could get his hands on, concentrating mostly on his first love, which was science. In a way, Faraday was a bit like us today. With the internet, we have access to thousands of courses, webinars, reports, and books, and it's all at an incredibly cheap price. And yet, most of us find it hard to learn these skills as quickly as we should. And it's not for want of application. Some of us could be easily distracted, but others are dedicated enough. I think I'm dedicated. 4 years ago, I decided to learn about watercolors. My next step was to invade the library. I brought home every book, every possible book on watercolors, and I poured through them like Faraday. Then, because I was still hungry, I bought physical books. Then I supplemented them with ebooks, and then several online courses as well. And I painted, yes I did. I filled up a page every day of the year for 3.5 years. And I had progress, but then I went to this watercolor course in Cadaqués in Spain. And my watercolors took a dramatic turn for the better. Faraday did something similar and his life changed as well. He was no slouch in the reading department, but Faraday longed for a life setting. So he'd go and he'd see speaking engagements of the most prominent people of the day. And one of these people was Humphrey Davy. Humphrey Davy was like a superstar at that point in time. And Humphrey Davy was temporarily blinded during one of his experiments. And Faraday was called in. He was called in to help as an assistant. And that was his live workshop. My philosophy is that online learning is amazing, but you can't depend on online learning alone. Now, this is ironical coming from us because we have courses. We have the online article writing course, the info product courses, cartooning courses. And there is not a doubt in the world that online learning is extremely valuable. And yet, a live workshop is completely different and, may I say, a very needed experience. And we're not just talking about workshops just from the client's point of view. It's from our point of view as well. My wife Renuka and I, we travel over 10,000 miles to conduct workshops because there are things that you can learn offline that you simply cannot learn online. You can try and do whatever you want, but that offline learning experience, that's so different. It's not a question of or, it's a question of and. Both the online and the offline workshops are what's needed. And yet, most of us won't make this journey. Of course, we have our reasons, but one of the biggest reasons is that we get most of our stuff online. So why bother paying for the hotel, the stay, the travel, all of that stuff when we can get the comfort of a workshop in our homes? I don't know about you, but every time I've left home, I feel like Faraday. I'm not just leaving home, I'm leaving the hassles of home as well. No garbage to put out, no dishes to wash, no cat to be fed. Not that I have a cat. But for that duration, when I'm away, when I travel, I can think and work on my business instead of being in it. And while I'm at the workshop, I have no distractions. Well, fewer distractions anyway. And not all workshops are equal. In fact, it's easier to confuse the term workshop and seminar. In my experience, a seminar is inferior to a workshop. Seminars tend to have many speakers, one after the other, giving you different sets of information, and it quickly gets very tiring. A workshop is different. It usually tends to have one person, and what you're doing is you're just working through a system, getting from one end to the other, instead of having all these ideas pulling you in different directions. So it's more cohesive. You have to learn, you have to do the work. So given a choice, I will always choose a workshop over a seminar. Most of us struggle, but often it is for no reason. And the reason why we do that is because we don't really get the benefit of learning. And to me, online learning and offline learning is very important. We live in a home delivery age. Everything comes to our home, everything comes to our computer, everything's on our phone, and we think, well, we have everything that we need. And I can tell you that that's not been my experience. That's not been the experience of the clients that I've dealt with. That the reason why we have these workshops in faraway places like Germany and Australia, no, Australia's not far away, but it's far enough. I have to get on a plane and go there and speak at the event and sometimes go to a workshop itself. And that's the point, that home delivery is good, but only for so long. You then need to get outside your comfort zone. You need to do some due diligence, find a workshop that will teach you your skills, and you'll find that it boosts your confidence. And I'd go so far as to say it will boost your income as well. Faraday was born in a poor family. For him, the bookbinder's job was the most incredible gift ever. Yet he pushed beyond his comfort zone. He took the risk that he needed to take, and he put that learning into practice. Look around you at those you consider successful. And successful in a different sense, not these crazy people going at it all the time, screaming at you from the podium. Look around you and you'll find one thing in common. They all did their home learning, but all of them also left their nest. Turn on that switch, that light switch in your mind. Did the light turn on? Well, that brings us to the end of the second part. Let's get to the third one, which is waiting. You know how you've been told to wait? Is it really superior? Let's find out in the third part. Everything comes to those who will wait. Surely you've heard that saying, right? And so you wait. You wait because you've been told that you should not be impulsive. Sleep on your decisions, people say. And so you wait. But does waiting really help us as much as we think? Let's look at that phrase, everything comes to those who will wait. Does that say when that waiting happens? Because in my mind, if you're going to quote one fancy phrase, you should be thinking about the other fancy phrase as well. And the other fancy phrase is, sow and you shall reap. Yes, sow, do the hard work. Then you can wait. Put some back into whatever you're doing, and then you can wait. But no, we just want to wait. As if sleeping on things is going to improve anything at all. I'll tell you what it does improve. It improves your ability to create enormous to-do lists. That's because the moment you put something on a wait list, the decision becomes like planes circling the airport. One plane, a couple of planes, yeah, that we can handle. But soon there are planes as thick as mosquitoes. And you know what this does, right? It paralyzes us. We can't make any decision, or at least any good decisions. And we've gone beyond just waiting. In fact, we've regressed right into paralysis. It's easier to get a job done, to get it partially done, and then fix it rather than to wait. Waiting only works once you've started to get some momentum. But surely there are instances when waiting improved the situation. Yes, there are. You'll have cases when a patient was given up for dead and suddenly they woke up and they came out from that coma and then they lived for another 30 years. Or you'll have a situation where you'll get a better price on a product. So for instance, I got a 75% discount on software yesterday, but life is not usually like that. These are flukes, these are chance encounters. No one is telling you that you need to be madly impulsive, but sit down and think of the last 10 decisions. Which one of them would have improved if you had waited? And how long would you have waited? A day, 3 days, 3 years, forever? Everything comes to those who wait. Yes, it does. But you also have to sow, and then you have to wait. And then you have to reap. So, sow, then wait, then reap. And sow, then wait, then reap. And that's how the cycle goes on, not just waiting. And that brings us to the end of this first part in philosophy. What did we cover? The first thing that we covered was why reality checks kill your spirit and your momentum. And like you, we've had situations like when we built this new website last year, and after all the work we were told, okay, let's do a reality check. Let's check everything on the website. There are so many pages. How are you going to do that? So we just ran with it and we fixed things as they went along. And reality checks, they're just largely a waste of time. You can't check everything in your life. We just go ahead, we do stuff, we fix it later. The second point we covered was why online learning, just online learning, can reduce your implementation skills. I truly believe that you have to be like Faraday and you have to leave home. Go to a workshop. Maybe you're someone who conducts workshop. Well, don't just do the online thing. Go out there. Put yourself in that position where you learn something differently because you're not in that online moment anymore. You can't fix it. You have to learn as you go along. And online learning kind of stifles you. Online teaching kind of stifles you. So you have to move out there, out of your comfort zone. And the third thing is the decision making, about why waiting doesn't help your decision making as much as you think. Even though you've been told, sleep on it, sleep on it. Nothing really improves by you sleeping on it. Sometimes it does, but most of the time, it's better to do something and to fix it. So we have these kind of bookends. The whole momentum is getting slowed down because we're doing these reality checks and we're waiting and we're waiting. And I don't think that's necessary at all. And that's just the philosophy that we have. And that's why we seem to move ahead on a consistent basis. Not this slapdash rush through everything. We're still very organized, or seemingly organized. And we go through life that way. We go through our business that way. And I think that's what you need to do. Just make this progression on a consistent basis. And that brings us to the end of this podcast. Let's find out what's happening in Psychotactics land. So it's Friday morning here as I'm recording this. And last night we were sitting down just before dinner. Renuka hands me this Post-it and she says, okay, so here are the things that are coming up. And she gives me the dates. So there is an article writing course, self-study, coming up, and there is pre-sale, and there is something else. And guess what? I'm at the office, and the Post-it is at home. And so I don't know the precise dates, but here's the point. You can go to psychotactics.com, and there look for article writing or pre-sale. And what you'll find are goodies. You'll find that there are lots of little bonuses that we give away, which are very interesting to read, but also easy to implement. And I will give you the exact dates of all of the workshops and stuff that's coming up in the next few months. But for now, it's Friday morning. It's time for us to plan. It's time for us to drink a bit of coffee, have a nice lunch, and probably take a nap in the afternoon. Sounds like a good idea. So that's me, Sean D'Souza, saying bye for now. Bye-bye. Still listening? Over the December-January break, we had a friend of mine come over, Ronsley Baz from Australia. And he was on vacation, on holiday. And then I have another friend who's from Hungary, Adam Balogadam, as he likes to call himself. And he's in Mysore, India. And to me, that's been kind of the biggest thing. Yes, we've done lots of courses and we have books and there are skills and all of this stuff. But seeing these clients, these friends, starting to take breaks, starting to take vacations, starting to go into this downtime mode, I think to me that has been the most gratifying thing of all. The people have taken this time to rest and relax, that instead of working, say, 12 months a year, now they're working 11 months a year, or have pushed back to 10 and a half months a year. I think it's very important for productivity. I think it's very important for creativity, not just to go on vacation, but to have break time, to have downtime, to have this ability to just sit there still quietly for a while and not have to rush somewhere or to check email. I think as I go into the new year, and I know I just said it was February, but that's how quickly New Year's go. I think that has been one of the big achievements. And I would like to see if more of you could do that. Now, admittedly, many of us are still in this phase where we're getting things done, where we're still starting up, we're still trying to get momentum. But I think that one of the places where we can really help, because I'm there every day, is 5000 BC. So while this is like a half pitch and a half-hearted pitch, but come and join us in 5000 BC. I would like to see more people taking time off, and if I can help you, that's the best place to be. I'll say bye for now, and we'll come back on the second episode of this crazy philosophy of psychotactics. Bye-bye.